everyone. Welcome to another edition of Trap Chat. I am your host, Kirsten Greggs, and I am so excited to be joined today by Shonak. We're going to let he goes by Sean Mallapurkar. He's joining us from Dubai. So it is about 6 p.m. in the evening, and it is 10 a.m. for me. So I'm very grateful that Sean took some time out of his evening to come and talk to us. But for those who don't know, Sean is the founder and CEO of Recruit CRM, which is an AI powered, top rated applicant tracking system and CRM for recruitment agencies. Sean, thank you so much. Anyone that knows me knows that I love your product. I love working with you guys. I am biased. I'm going to say it right now. I am biased because I have had the opportunity to collaborate and partner with you all for going on 2 years, I think now. So yeah, it's great to finally have you here. Please say hi to everyone, and then just if you want to share your career journey from intern to founder and CEO.
Yeah, that'd be that's great to talk about. So, and thanks for having me on the show, Kirsten. Really appreciate it. I'm Sean, guys. I'm Sean. I'm one of the founders of Recruit CRM. To do a quick highlight of my story so far. Started my first company when I was 19. I'm 29 now. I'll be 30 in a few months. So just to highlight on that story, I have never had a different job, right? So growing up, I was always I was motivated by money. So growing up, I wanted to figure out how I could make more money. So I think that's I think with a lot of entrepreneurs, that's like a driving force growing up. That you during maybe certain instances of your life, you're the scarcity of capital, scarcity of money, and that's one of the things you want to pursue, having more and being successful. So growing up, I thought I was going to be an investment banker because I'd heard they make a lot of money. So when I went to business school, I went to school in Indiana. I went to the Kelley School at Indiana. I told everyone I was going to be an investment banker. And then after my freshman year in college, I interned at an investment bank that was a boutique doing mergers and acquisitions for 3 months. And I absolutely hated it. It was horrible. It was very mind numbing. It was like the hours weren't as much of a problem as the fact that the work just wasn't as stimulating. If you're just playing with a spreadsheet and just tweaking numbers. So once you get the basics of discounted cash flow models and stuff, it was just very not exciting, and I couldn't imagine myself doing that for the rest of my life. And right around that time, I got together with a couple classmates in college. We were all 19, and we started a startup. We started a company called Quick Trade, which was a peer-to-peer commerce company, and we raised venture capital for it. So we were 3 kids that had raised just about $200,000 in seed capital. We graduated early from college. One of us dropped out, and I'm Indian, so I didn't actually have a permit to live and work in the U.S. post-study, education. But because I created a company in the U.S. as an entrepreneur, I was able to sponsor my own visa. So I was the employer and I was the employee. I had 2 signatures on the employment contract to the Department of Homeland Security, which is awesome. And we attempted to do that, and a year later, the startup failed. We were now all 21, so we did this 19 to 21. And so it was 2.5 years. Didn't work out. And then I flew back to India because I couldn't live in America anymore. And when I flew back to India, I got home, and my dad had just started a company as well. He'd started an education company a few years prior. And we always wanted to do something together, but it never made sense because I was too young, and then I went off to college. And he was a professional. He wasn't really a business owner till I was 19 years old. And we just put 2 and 2 together. And the crazy and unique thing that happened is I'd studied technology and worked in technology, running a startup in the US. And my dad's entire professional career was in recruiting and staffing. He
Really?
ran Randstad's India business. Randstad is the world's largest staffing company.
Yeah.
But he wasn't an owner or a founder. He'd started there out of business school. He'd grown through the ranks to become their country manager, and he'd quit that, and he was working in hospitality as the CEO of a hospitality company right before I went off to college. So it was something that he had done in the past, but because he had that domain expertise in like how staffing and recruiting works across the world, we were able to use that and use my skills and technology to come together and start Recruit CRM. So that's how we
That's
started 8 years ago now.
awesome. That's awesome. That's awesome. So my next question was going to be to share the story behind the founding and vision of Recruit CRM, but I think you
That's
did
the same
that.
thing.
Yeah, it is. It's the same thing. Your career journey is the vision. I love that. And thank you for that background. So for those who don't know a lot about Recruit CRM, I just want to give some stats. You're supporting currently over 1,000 recruitment firms in more than 80 countries.
1,550 in
Almost two.
100 and
Yeah, I'm going to say that's
104
almost
countries.
2,000 then.
Yeah,
Over
yeah,
100 companies
under 2,000 in a little over 100 countries,
in a
103.
little over. That's awesome. So we got to change those stats.
Yeah.
All right. So there's a very impressive reach globally. Can you just share some examples of how your software integrates with existing workflows and helps recruitment firms make placements in such diverse markets?
Yeah, absolutely. Right. Like, so most people we work with aren't on Excel. Some are using something like Excel, but a lot of them are already using technology. So when they come to us, they come because they want something better, right? And that's a combination of things. Sometimes it's just something as basic as they want more support and help because they bought a product and they're not getting the training they need to like use that product and it's not working. So they need somebody who's going to hold their hands. But more often than not, it's people looking for more cutting edge or just newer technology. So I'll give you a few examples of the things we sort of have, and maybe I can share my screen because it'll just make more sense that way. Uh, so, Christian, I have shared my screen. I don't know if you can see it. I'm on your profile on
Yeah.
LinkedIn. So if you spotlight that, uh, we can get started. We good to
Yeah.
go?
Yep. We're good to go.
Awesome. So some of the things we do that most other systems probably don't or don't do as well is like if I look at someone like Kristen here, and I think she's an amazing candidate, we have functionality to instantly tell you if she's already in your company's database, if the team already has notes on her,
Wow.
if we have other things associated with her. It sort of tells me where she works. I can have my own tags and I can like put new tags on her if you were already in my database. So for example, I'm already in my database and I've flagged myself as somebody that's already placed and is in a guarantee period, so no one should be touching them.
Okay.
We can create those tags on people. And so if someone else on your team, if you're a 10-person recruiting company or a 50-person recruiting company, you'll never have a situation where one of your colleagues reaches out to a candidate they're not supposed to reach out to, or reaches out to a client they're not supposed to reach out to. We also help our customers do a lot of automation. So, for example, this is a little automation board here. We can connect to essentially a couple thousand applications that you use. So we can do stuff like every time you receive a new job or one of your recruiters adds a new job to the system, sends like a Slack notification or a text message or an email to everyone on the team to say that, hey, we have a new job to work on. Or every time a client gives you feedback on a candidate, we can automatically send your team a notification to let them know that, hey, there's feedback received. We need to like set up an interview or get things going. And then we can also work with people to build their own automation. So you can go in and you can say, every time we win a deal, I want to go to DocuSign or PandaDoc or one of these email signature tools and use a template to create a contract for the client or the candidate. And then once that contract is signed, I want to go to QuickBooks and create an invoice and send it to the client. The
Nice.
idea is, how do we plug into all of the different tools you're using? And I'll stop sharing now, but the idea is how can we connect to all the tools you're using and just make business better and automated versus you physically doing one thing on one system, then going to DocuSign, making a contract, then going to QuickBooks or calling your accountant and saying, hey, can you please make an invoice? How do you prevent people from having to do all of those things separately?
Mm-hmm. So being able to stay in one place to do all of those things is such a value add, and not just for recruitment agencies, but for recruiters in general.
Yeah.
Even inside of corporations, we're doing sourcing in one system or in multiple systems at the same time, and then we're having to come into our ATS and do something. Then we're going to have to go outside to send an
Yeah.
email, and then go outside to schedule an interview, and then go outside to do all these other things. So I
You want to
love.
do your email sequences, you want to do your
Mhm.
notifications, you want to do outreach, everything from one system. And like you
Right.
just said, what we've noticed over the last like 18 months especially is a lot more corporate recruiters also coming to us. So even though
Yeah.
we're like a system for agencies, we have a lot of companies that are either hospital chains or just a
Hmm.
regular corporation coming to us, and they were using maybe a more traditional system like an iSIMS or Workable before, and they're just switching to us because they're able to do certain
Multiple
things that they're
things.
just not able to do in
Yeah,
those more legacy systems.
I love that, and I'm just going to say it again. I'm going to reiterate that. I know third party recruiters oftentimes get a bad rep. There's this reputation that they're just sales people, and that, like, in the bad way. They're just used
Yeah,
car
they're very
salesmen, and
salesy. They're
yeah,
very
and
salesy.
they don't care about candidate experience. They don't do anything. But I need folks to continue to realize, a lot of the people who are still recruiters at, my big age, all of us from the 1900s, like, we either started an agency, or we had, vice presidents and directors who were agency adjacent, or who had formerly worked in agencies, and they built their recruitment models around how third party recruitment agencies actually work. And I'm just going to say, like, you got, like, recruitment agencies are technically they're kind of the foundation for a
Yeah,
lot of the stuff that we
and
do.
And to be honest, like folks on an average at recruitment agencies, the same person in both in a corporate versus an agency environment
Hmm.
tends to be a lot more productive, aggressive, and efficient in an agency environment because it's just this is how you survive, right? In an agency,
Yeah,
you have to produce revenue, which means you have to successfully connect people to jobs to survive because otherwise you're not eating. Essentially, you're not
absolutely.
going. Yeah.
Absolutely. That's a great segue to my next question. Measuring team performance, that's key for
Yeah.
any recruiting team that especially wants to grow. Can you talk about how Recruit CRM's tools help firms track and
Yeah.
enhance teammate performance, and
Yeah.
what impacts has this had overall on business outcomes?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll talk about reporting, but before that, I'll talk about something that feeds into reporting, right? So one, we've obviously tried to make the system easy to use. We've introduced a very easy to use mobile app, so people use the product more, so there's more data to play with. But more importantly, we have some core functionality that's important for reporting. So for example, instead of just manually logging a call, we have a full-blown voice over IP system inside Recruit CRM, which means you can use your mobile app or the web app, the computer, to basically click on a candidate or a client's phone number and just call them from the system. Once you make that call, we record that call, transcribe that call, and summarize that call. So we add a little note inside that tells you what you spoke about on the call. Now, that's useful to your colleagues as well, because when they look at a candidate and if someone else on the team has called them, they're able to see what happened in that conversation without necessarily needing a human being to write a note or to listen to like a 10-minute audio recording. Now we put that into your weekly or daily or monthly report. So when we work with customers, one of the key things we do is we sit with them and we're like, what are your key KPIs? So for most businesses, key KPIs can be uh, candidates assigned into jobs, candidates shortlisted, uh, successful placements, number of phone calls successfully made, not dials, but actual conversations that happen, and some businesses that focus more on like blind CV sends or like candidate marketing. How many candidates have you pitched to clients, right, outside of an actual job opening? What we do is we allow you to compare people. So like if you have 4 people on your team, you can pick all of them and you can say, every Friday or every Monday morning, I want all 4 of these people to get a report of last week's stats. So essentially, all 4 of them get each other's numbers. They don't see the actual details, but they see, oh, Sean made 106 phone calls or had 180 conversations last week. And he had 3 placements, and he had 17 people in interview that went into interview last week, compared to another person that made only 5 phone calls and maybe has no placement. So you're able to get the correlation between input and output, because it's not as useful to just say, oh, there's a lot of calls being made. It needs to actually produce results. And then if you actually go into the system and it says 50 phone calls made, if you click on that bar chart, we show you a list of the people that were called, and you can scroll on any one of them, and it gives you a pop-up of everything that was spoken on that conversation as like a blurb. And that really just makes life a lot easier, because if you want to train people, you can say, look at Kirsten's calls or Sean's calls and just listen to them, or just watch them,
Love it.
read them. Yeah.
Is there any other? I mean, you're obviously on the forefront of automation and AI features. Are there any other advancements that you guys have made either recently or that you would like to highlight?
Yeah. So there's a few. So what we've tried to do is, one, in terms of just automation, figure out how we can reduce time spent in admin. So one of those things was the phone calling thing I talked about. So you're calling somebody, the system is recording the call. Another thing we do is, a lot of our customers tend to format resumes or CVs before they send them to clients. So we have a little tool in place where you can click on a resume and just hit an option, and it'll automatically put a header on top, put your logo, put your contact information, remove any personal info, remove the candidate's phone number, stuff like that, and create like a cover sheet plus formatted resume. Or let's say you were Trap Recruitment, it'd say Trap Recruitment resume. So you'd have the original and you'd have a format. So it does that. We also use GPT. So we obviously use GPT 4.0, the new model, and we're able to rewrite people's resumes. So if you're like, I don't want the original resume, I want a completely new format, you're able to press a button and generate that.
Okay.
And plus, a lot of the automations are bespoke. So for example, because we have that workflow builder that can connect over 2,000 applications, we actually have some customers that have their own OpenAI account, where they have their own OpenAI model that ranks candidates for jobs. So every time a candidate is successfully placed in a job or rejected, they send that data to OpenAI through our system, so that they can have their own proprietary like ranking system, so that the next time they assign a candidate to a job, it gives them a rating upfront in our system based on their model. And they don't have any engineers or developers doing this. It's just, a slightly tech savvy recruiting business owner that's like tweaking them together. You don't need to write code anymore to build stuff like this. That's the incredible part.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So we're coming down to the last couple of non-personal questions.
Okay.
You have founded or co-founded multiple companies. That's how we started our conversation.
Yeah.
What advice do you have for aspiring founders who are having difficulty overcoming those unique challenges and obstacles in the SaaS industry specifically?
Great question. So just to be clear, when you say multiple companies, I've started 2 companies. The first one lasted 2 years. We'd raised venture capital and we went bankrupt. And that was from when I was 19 to 21. And the second one is now Recruit CRM, 21 to 29, 30 now, 8 years, and hopefully a decade or 2 more.
Yeah.
This one's completely bootstrapped. So my dad started it. I was broke when we started it. I was 21 and had just failed a startup. Dad had some money, so he put in I think it was $80,000 total over like a year and a half. And now this business does about 10 million in revenue, right? In SaaS revenue, which is recurring revenue, very profitable.
Yes.
Life is good. And so I think your question was advice for people that want to get into SaaS, right? One, there's always white spaces that you can build into. And if there's no new white spaces you can build into, there's always existing players or products that are doing a really, really bad job. So you can literally go to Capterra or G2, and you can look at the hundreds of software categories you have, and go to any random one of them and see what the top 3 players are rated at. If the top 3 players are 2 or 3 stars on 5, there's an opportunity to build a disruptor. So that's one. The second piece of advice that's probably a more important piece of advice is, try not to raise capital for as long as you possibly can. I think this is now in vogue over the last couple of years, since the funding's dried up in the capital markets for startups anyway. Not raising money is probably the biggest blessing we've had. And the reason we didn't raise money early on was not because we didn't want to, but because we couldn't. We were a father and son team. We weren't as technical as a traditional investor would like a zero revenue product to be,
Okay.
because they normally want someone who's like, so I studied information systems in school, but I'm not like a Stanford computer science engineer, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like which is the kind of pedigree you would want to like write $1 million or $2 million check before having a product, right? Uh, and so because we didn't have the pedigree, we had to just say, okay, these are the resources we have. We just go out and like hire the people we can, give some people some equity, build the product out, get some revenue, and then like let that revenue fund the business, which is how we did it, right? We never raised any debt, never raised any equity, and just kept rolling. And it took a little bit longer.
Mm-hmm.
So out of this 8-year journey, if it took the average startup to like get to $1 million in revenue in 2 years, we took 4 years to get to our first million. But then it just got way, way, way easier, right? The
Yeah.
last 4 years. Uh, but yeah, so that's the one lesson I would say. Like push off raising money as much as possible, which means you need to be frugal. And when you start a SaaS business, you need to plan to at least not be making any real money till 18 to 24 months. As long as you can do that,
That's
there's
great
a chance of
advice. That's great advice. Thank you. So, finally, looking ahead, how do you envision Recruit CRM contributing to the broader AI recruitment landscape, say, over the next 5 years?
Yeah, that's a great question. So again, AI is a huge buzzword, and AI is technology that is now finally available. That's actually commercial. You can actually commercialize the tech because of GPT and other open AI models. I think Recruit CRM and honestly most other companies in our segment aren't really large enough to meaningfully invest enough capital and actually change or create new AI models. As like we're not trying to compete with an open AI, or and build a GPT. But what businesses like us or ours can do is take existing models that are built by people spending billions of dollars, like Microsoft and OpenAI and even Meta at this point, and basically customize those models to serve the recruitment space or the staffing market. So that's what we're doing. We're taking a model that's already there and running in tons of data associated to recruiting agencies and how recruiting agencies use AI and use GPT, uh, to basically im- to create a bespoke AI model for recruiting agencies. But if you ask us what we want to do over the next 5 years, is to continue being a one-stop shop for recruiting agencies, to continuing to adopt new technologies that are available in the market.
Mm-hmm.
For the last 15 months, that's been AI, and it's probably going to be true for another year and a half. Use more and more AI into each part of your product: candidate recommendations, auto formatting, automatic emails, transcription. So
Yeah.
basically, how do you have an AI assistant helping the recruiter be more productive? But I think there's also a lot of opportunity in vertically integrating. So, for example, instead of just helping people find talent, reach out to that talent and recruit that talent and then sign contracts with that talent, can we also help you within the same system do timekeeping and timesheets? And then based on that, also do financial services where we help you collect money from your customers and do payroll to actually pay the candidates. And then once we start doing that, can we actually give you payroll credit? Can we work with banks in your territory to say, Kirsten runs a staffing business that's been successful for the last 3 years. She generally gets paid on the fifth, but she needs to do payroll on the first or the 31st or twice a month. Can we, based on her credit history of running payroll through us, give her debt?
Whoa.
So instead of being like a separate company doing that, a separate company doing timekeeping, a separate company doing payroll, and a separate company being the front office and website, can you have one system just do everything? And if you do that, you can produce a multi-billion-dollar business.
Yeah. That's
And
awesome. I just want
that's
to
the
thank
goal.
you so much again for coming and taking the time to
Of course.
talk talk about Recruit CRM. Even I learned some new things about it. I do encourage you, regardless of where you sit in recruiting, to take a look at the product if you haven't already. Go to the website. I know that you can request a demo there as well. Correct?
Yeah, you just have to go to recruitcrm.io or just type in recruit CRM on Google. We should pop up.
Yeah.
We should be the first non-paid result that pops up on Google.
Okay.
And you can do a demo with one of our colleagues. We can do demos in English, Spanish, Portuguese, and French. So we can
Nice.
do multiple languages. Or you can just do a free trial if you don't want to talk to a human.
Okay. And then there's also resources there for folks who
Yes.
need them. I know there's a blog. Do you guys you still have a podcast too, right? Yep. So a podcast, like there's a lot of things you guys can do.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. You're breaking up a bit. Hold on. Okay. Maybe it's me. Can you hear me fine and see me?
I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. There you go. That's better.
Yes, I can see you and hear you the whole way.
All right. You were breaking up a bit on my end for just a second. So I wanted to make sure folks could hear you. All right. So now it's time for rapid fire, my favorite part. Who is a well-known and or lesser known historical figure or contemporary figure who inspires you and we should learn more about?
Okay, so this is a very well-known one. Napoleon.
Okay.
Like obviously, like let's keep aside all the bad parts about all the soldiers that died under his command. But the positive there is the incredible story of somebody that was born, I believe, to an to a Italian family 300 years ago in French territory. No roots to local nobility, no relationship with local nobility, and basically at the age of 30 becomes emperor of a country. That's insane. That's like an immigrant coming into a new country becoming emperor. That's like ridiculous, right? Like when you think about it in the modern world, that just wouldn't happen. And this is a person that was able to achieve that without any internet, slower flow of information, people writing letters and like riding on horses to move information along. And this is someone who achieved that degree of success. So Napoleon for sure.
Okay. What fictional character gives you a glimpse of yourself?
Yeah. So this is a fictional character I would like to be more like, but it's from an anime. It's Monkey D. Luffy from One Piece. One Piece is probably a top 3, top 4 like Japanese anime classic. It's been running for 25 years and they're still running.
Okay.
And the reason is because in the anime, this is a character that's trying to be pirate king, and since he's a little boy who's like 3 or 4 years old to an adult, he is very outspoken about it and telling everyone in the world that, hey, I'm going to be pirate king one day. And that sort of like relates to the fact of like just dreaming big and like not being scared to put your dreams out there, because like you have to like I don't want to be very cliche, but like you sort of have to manifest them. Now you can't just sit and manifest. You have to actually do work and like work your way to getting to those goals. But if you never verbalize your goals and tell the world around you that this is what I want to be and this is what I want to achieve, if you're too scared to dream and you're too scared to tell others that this is your dream, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
You have to vocalize it and push it out in the world.
Thank you. That's a good one. I'm sure I don't watch anime, but I'm sure my niece knows who that is. So I'm gonna ask her to put me up on game, as they say, on One Piece. What is your favorite empowering? Cannot say that word. Quote.
Yeah. It's on my LinkedIn profile, and it's been for many years. The quote is, I actually don't know who this quote is from, but I love the quote. The quote is, winning is not everything, but wanting to win is.
Wanting to win. I like that.
Yeah. So.
All right. Here's another one. If you could spend a day shadowing someone in a different profession, who would it be and what would you hope to learn from them?
Yeah, sure. I think it'd be, now it's not a specific person, but I think it'd be very interesting to shadow someone, shadow a surgeon in medicine doing life-changing surgeries, like
Wow.
maybe like heart replacement. Uh, and the idea is like, I don't think I'd learn, like I don't know enough science to be able to actually pick things up walking behind somebody like that. But if I feel like if you spend a day or two shadowing someone who's literally saving or ending lives depending on how well they're able to do their job
Wow.
over a day or two, I think we'd realize how insignificant what we do every day is, and how we shouldn't be stressed out about things that aren't in our control. Because like every day you most of us put a lot of effort in. Some things work out, some things don't work out. If you're in recruitment, you're trying to reach out, someone's not responding to you or ghosting you. That's going to happen all the time. You can't take it serious. Like you take it seriously, but you can't let it stress you out and like eat into your soul.
Yeah.
Right. And I think going behind like a surgeon for 2 days and just seeing them save lives and also like have situations where people don't make it will have you realize that like there's more to life than just being stressed out about like someone not
Wow.
responding to one of your emails.
That's actually a powerful answer. I
Yeah.
was not expecting that. I don't think I've had that before. Most people go to someone, in business
Yeah.
specifically, that does a different job. But I haven't heard yet from someone giving an answer like you did about what that job actually is, like what that job means to that person. That's awesome. Thank you. What is your go-to songs or music genre when you want to hype yourself up to conquer the day?
Yeah, like Hall of Fame, the script, classic. Like I think I end up listening to that once every 2 or 3 days at the gym or something. It's like standing in the Hall of Fame, right? Like,
Okay.
that's a classic. But I don't have great taste in music, unfortunately. I'm the type who would literally play like, if someone like play songs, I'd be like top 100, top 100 global, top 100 UAE, top 100 USA. Like just play the playlist.
Okay.
Not the right person to ask this question to, probably.
No, everyone's opinion counts here. What is the best piece of career advice you've received that you would give to your early career self?
Yeah. And I think I luckily sort of received this early career, and I didn't receive it from a person telling this to me. It's just something I read. I do remember who wrote this. So this was written by Sam Altman. Sam Altman's
Mm-hmm.
the founder of OpenAI, and he wrote this while he was still at. I think he was president of Y Combinator when he wrote this, which is the startup accelerator that he was
Okay.
originally part of, and then he became president of. And it's basically, and I don't remember the exact quote or the sentences, but it goes along like this. It is really important for people early in their career to work far harder than is normally expected, and to sacrifice a lot of the time. Like there's no work life balance when you're 18, when you're 20, when you're 25,
Um,
because like the learnings that you have early in your career compound over the rest of your career. So if you sacrifice the first 5 to 10 years of your career not going out and partying as much, not going to probably as many family events. Now this is contradictory. I know, I understand a lot of people big on work life balance in life, but
yeah.
I think if you want to be in the top 1% of successful people in the world, or higher, and you want to have millions of dollars or tens of millions of dollars, and you don't want life to suck for 50 years, let it suck for 5 to 10 years, and like really grind hard, work. When we started this business, I remember working 80, 90 hours a week. Well,
Mm-hmm.
didn't go to any birthday parties, didn't go out to dinner, like everything sucked. You just worked all the time. And now I don't work all the time. Now I work 40 hours a week, and I still get to make millions of dollars, and I'll probably work 40 hours a week or less every year going forward from the time I'm 30 to 60 or 70, and I'll be fabulously rich through that entire process, including
Well,
now, because the first few years sucked. And I was lucky. We were able to like have a failed startup 2 years in, and then 3 or 4 years later we were sort of successful, and it
mm-hmm.
started compounding. Maybe if you're unlucky, it takes you 10 years to get there. If you're luckier, maybe only a couple. but you do need to be willing to sacrifice everything if you care about being in the top 1% of success.
Okay.
And in this case, I'm talking about financial success, right?
Gotcha.
But I think that unless you're exceptional and you're like a genius, that's what you need. You need to outwork people, and that just means more hours.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
You said it. You have to outwork people, and you actually do.
Yeah, if your desire is to be in the top one, because a lot of people are like, hey, well, what do you want from life? I want to make $500,000 or $1,000,000 a year when I'm 30 or 35 years old.
Hmm.
And sure, now if you want to do that, unless you're like top 0.01% intelligence, which most people are like, you're not, uh, you probably need to be top 1% or half percent effort. And top
Yes.
half percent effort is 70, 80 hours a week. And it
Okay.
is people who are not chilling with friends every now and then. And so you do have to sacrifice that for multiple years and not weeks and months. uh,
Well,
work.
I think I've aged out of that demographic. So
And that doesn't mean, but this isn't the path to happiness, right? This is the path to being top
yes,
1%.
yes.
If
That
it is,
okay, that's an important distinction.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
you said that's not the path to happiness. That's the path to being 1%.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. Having more money doesn't like distinctly make you more happy, right? And
I'm willing to be, what do they say? I volunteer as tribute to see to test that theory.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah. No,
yeah.
I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what it does, right? Because I'm going from a situation where I declared bankruptcy 8 years ago to having millions of dollars now, right? Like
Okay.
that's the actual process we've gone through. I don't think having more money has made me happier, but
Mm,
what having more money has done is it's reduced a lot of the stress from irrelevant things. So now
okay.
when I'm trying to call an Uber, I don't like spend a lot of time thinking about, oh, it's like $8, or there's like, it's $8 more. Sorry, it's
Mm,
like $50 versus like $30, and damn, like that's a lot of money. Like there's no thought. Like so you're not
yeah.
thinking about all of the tiny expenses. You don't really look at the grocery bill, or like which you would before, and like you'd be like doing the math on monthly budget and stuff like that. So
Okay.
that's changed, but it doesn't
Yeah.
really make you happier. Like it doesn't, like it removes all the pain, but it doesn't make you happy. What makes you happy is spending time with the people you love.
Okay.
That's what makes you happy.
All right. All right.
Anyway, that's at least my opinion.
Okay. All right. If you wrote a book describing your career so far, what would the title be?
uh Compounding success every year.
Compounding success every year. Okay. And when
Yeah,
can we look forward to that? 2026?
I don't know, I'm not a book writer, so if i
Not
if
a
I
book
ever write a book, I'll hire someone to write
to
a
do it. Okay. I,
to do it for
I
me,
have a
right?
name for you. We could
Yeah,
talk backstage when we're done.
yeah,
I can give you that
yeah, but,
person's name.
but if we do a book, it'll be at least 10 more years, because I do think it'll,
Okay.
like, I don't think I'll ever write a book unless I'm worth $1 billion or more, and I do think it'll take like 6 to 8 years for me to be worth $1 billion.
Okay.
uh,
All right. Last question. What are you most looking forward to as the year ends? We're about to head into the fourth quarter, whether that's a personal goal, a project or initiative, a professional milestone, or just an exciting opportunity.
yeah, so this has nothing to do with work. This is just something I'm personally doing at the moment. I used to be a very fit teenager. I played squash, which is like racquetball.
Hmm.
Probably that's more popular in America. I played a lot of squash. I played it competitively. I was very fit. But 19 through like 29 now, I've become very unfit. So I put on a lot of weight. I put on like, I think I'm like 40 pounds heavier than when I started college when I was 18,
Okay.
right? Which is a lot. So the last couple months I've been working on just being healthier, being on a calorie deficit, making sure I work out 5 times a week, making sure I do my 50 push-ups every morning.
Okay.
Like just becoming healthier. So nothing crazy. I just the goal for the rest of the year is to continue that, and to get back to being very fit
All
and
right.
athletic.
I love it. Thank you again for joining us. Again, make sure you go to recruitcrm.io to get more information. And we will see you guys on the next edition of Trap Chat. Thanks, everyone. And thank you, Sean.
And thank you for having me.
Of
It was
course. Of
fun.
course.